these little monsters, like these little beasts in there, and I want them gone. It makes me emotional to think about it. And then she just held me there for a bit, and she said, Elee, when your pelvis was shattered and it could not hold you up, those were what was doing it. To feel that awareness of I'm wanting to beat up this thing, that literally was the reason that when I didn't have that muscular capacity, it was what was keeping me moving. That was a powerful moment for me of like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Big one. Thanks for letting me share that.
You use the word often is play. What has that practice been like for you, and how do you get into that framework?
You have to not care what other people think about you. I'm still continually working to pull myself out of that box of allowing myself to be authentically who I am, which can be big and loud. The inner work is so valuable and so important, and at a certain point, it has to just let it simmer so that you can just let go and let love, like go play. We judge from the mind, but if we can switch that and start to learn how to judge from the heart, it makes life a lot easier.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Embracing Human podcast. I am your host, Scott Stone, and today we have a very special guest, Elizabeth Lee, also known as Elee, and she is what I consider to be a master of the embodied healing arts. And I met Elee through my Wim Hof certification back in 2020, 2021, and just blew my mind. And since then have had conversations with her about everything from the gene keys and other things. And so I had to have her on the podcast, and she found her way to Maui, and so here we are today. And so without further ado, Elee, welcome to the show.
Awesome. So happy to be here, especially in Maui.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, special. Yeah, incredible.
This island, this Aina, the land is, there's something about it that is just an invitation to ourselves to come home.
Yeah, vibrancy would be my word, or even majesty is a word that or what I feel here, this essence of this massive, like you said the word brilliance earlier, but vibrancy. When I get here, I can feel it inspires that vibrancy in me to aliven, or for me to clear out so that I can experience it deeper. So just the colors, the rainbows, it's like they're just more, everything sparkles more here.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what it's been like for you to find your way home to your own vibrancy.
That was a sticky road. Yeah, it's like going from being like this little like sludge monster to going through the little critter car wash, like just having to just go through the cleaning, and then maybe getting back out and playing again, or getting back out and going through the muck again, and then coming back and cleaning it off and seeing a new side, and then finding out like, oh, well, I thought that I had accessed a greater level of being able to breathe. I thought that I had cleaned that up and that I was good. And then I see a new layer, a new facet, and I'm like, oh shit. Like it's, it's just the layers and layers. And so I think I've moved into a place now where I'm understanding like, oh, it's just another layer. It's just another layer. And that's just some more shit that can be turned into compost. Let's go. And so now I'm starting to be so much less judgmental about it, less judgmental about myself, less judgmental about others. And the relief of that, like even when I hear myself say that, I'm like, oh, thank God. To be able to judge myself and others in situations less. I think that's been one of the primary gifts of the journey of the seeking, from just being, I would say borderline, like almost not even functional as a human, just really a mess, to feeling like I belong here and it's okay for me to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus feeling like something's wrong with me or I'm broken.
Right.
Yeah. And to feeling like, yeah, what is that wholeness? What does wholeness really mean? And in looking to that balance of being in a place where I've been physically broken, right? I've had physical breaks and injuries and been in those types of situations, but even past the healing of that, like, okay, now all my bones are functioning again, but then there's all those deeper layers that don't feel whole or accepted even by myself. And so moving through, I keep going back to the word sludge, but not in a negative way, sludge. In the past, I would have seen it as, again, I would have shamed it. Oh, Elee, you're so dirty. Why are you not pure and perfect and, this vibrant thing? Like, look at all those people who are so perfect and look at you who are so not. And then now I'm starting to be able to even see people that in the past I might have said, oh, they're so perfect. Look how clean and pure they are. Look how, and even that judgment now is starting to soften. It's like, oh no, look how human they are. We're all in this boat together. It's like, so even what I was putting people on pedestals, even those judgments are no longer like that either. It's just a more neutral, or starting to be. I mean, of course, I still am human and still judging, but you spoke about the gene keys, and Richard Rudd, the curator of that system, he says, we judge from the mind, but if we can switch that and start to learn how to judge from the heart, it makes life a lot easier. And so that's the thing I've been playing with. And so I think short answer would be, I'm able to access more vibrancy in myself when I get out of my way and stop judging myself for all of these mental constructs that aren't even real.
Right.
So I guess that would be my short answer.
Yeah. And something that I don't even know where I picked it up along the way, but it's such a funny thing of how the mind works that not only do we judge ourselves, but then we judge our judgments, which is just like, it's like kicking ourselves when we're down. Like, hey, oh yeah, you piece of shit. And then it's like, well, I shouldn't be a piece of shit. And like, you're a piece of shit for thinking you're a piece of shit. It's like, oh my God, bro. Like, this is a gang fight now.
And it never ends.
Yeah.
It spirals down and down and down.
Yeah.
To some pretty heavy depths.
Right.
To then some pretty heavy either addictions for a lot of us, and that can be, a whole number of things, not just our primary addictions that we think of, even just the addiction to thinking and the addiction to thinking ourselves even more into those places that then lead to,
Yeah, it's a human thing is a funny thing, and finding practices to help ourselves just kind of like alleviate the pressure for a minute, right? Just the pressure relief valve of like, oh, I'm back in this room. Okay, I'm back in this room, and not the mental gymnasium of hell that sometimes I find myself trying to play in. But that's something that's always struck me with you, and you use the word often, is play. What has that practice been like for you, and how do you get into that framework?
you have to not care what other people think about you. That's the big thing. So if I have, this person's going to judge me, this person's not going to like me, if this person sees me being in any way that's not considered the norm and within the way that it should be, then I am not accepted. I am kicked out. I am made fun of. I am less, or I am, right? So I noticed myself, and I'm still continually working to pull myself out of that box of allowing myself to be authentically who I am, which can be big and loud and a little wild and a little weird or different at times, to the point for some people maybe make them feel uncomfortable. And so it's learning, how can I find the places where I'm safe to be that big expression? And then now with my work, I'm finding I can use that massive expression to help people do their work towards healing. And so I feel like I've struck a gold mine, because now what once upon a time was the issue, I was too much or too sensitive or too whatever. Just go sit down and be quiet, Elee. Please just don't be here. Was sort of would be the story I have of my life, especially like as a younger little child with lots of energy that was too much for the adults that had lives to live and they had to go pay the bills and all that. So now I know more, so I'm having to restructure that. That doesn't mean anything about me.
Right.
They're just busy trying to do their shit.
Right.
So ironing those things out in the patterning, but then now looking on the more, relational field with my peers or with my colleagues or in different arenas that we all play in together as humans. Yeah, can I show up with my authentic self? And what does that even mean? And then can I do it with eyes of love and compassion for myself as well as others? Because that might mean that my authentic self might need to shift and adjust so that someone else can be in the room. And so those are all the things I'm playing with. I don't know if that answered the question.
It's the dance, right? Of like noticing when, I want to play, but I won't let myself, or I play, but that person over there is giving me a face and I'm making that face mean this. And okay, so can I be with that versus, okay, maybe this isn't the place that I feel like I can be fully expressed, and that's okay in this moment. And I can just tamper or like back that off, and I can go give myself that space later. And, what I heard in that was it's this practice that you're kind of weaving your way through that allows you to feel fully expressed and notice when something needs to shift.
Yeah. Am I playing from a centered space, or am I spinning out and maybe acting out or reacting out, or the opposite in Jinky language, repressing and hiding? Because that's a big one too that I've noticed for myself in certain arenas. I know that I have a skill set and I have something to offer that is powerful and of value. But if I offer that, then the people around me are going to feel intimidated or upset by that. And therefore I rock the boat. So I'm going to be quiet and not say anything. And I'm going to let so it's a both ways that we do as humans, I think.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I'd love to jump into the gene keys and just explore that a bit. I think I'll say for the vast majority of the listenership, they won't be familiar with it. So could you give us kind of a top-down approach of what the gene keys is and how it's utilized?
Yeah, the gene keys, it's a system that's almost impossible to tell you what it is. So we'll start with that. And then, as I will try to do it simply, it is this massive playground that has all of these incredible maps and tools and toys and places that you can experience what it means to be a human day to day, realistically, like the things that we go through in relating to ourselves and relating with others. And the gene keys are these maps and tools and toys that you can use to better understand this relational field between self and other. And so to make that more simple, it's like consciousness library. It's a language to the experiences that we all have in an energetic relationship together. So if there's conflict, the gene keys can help you understand kind of what the meat of that is and where the pitfalls might be of conflict and where we can actually use conflict towards a better outcome. So that's pretty massive. And so it's a language, it's a system that brings language to our experience as conscious relating humans. That was kind of I'm not sure how clear that was, but that was the best.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, it's a framework to better understand ourselves and our relationship to the lives that we live with ourselves and others.
Yeah, and then specifically the word frequency, and that is a more of a buzzword now than it used to be, but essentially, I love the more modern translation, right? The vibe. Like, what's the vibe? You walk into a room and you're like, everyone in there is angry and depressed and it's really stressful, right? That's the challenge vibe or the shadow vibe. So the shadow frequency is what it would be called in the gene keys. And that's where life's really hard. And there's just, I think a lot of us know that realm pretty well. And we see it. If not, we're not so rocking that for ourselves. We know many others that are swimming around in that shadow frequency. And so what the gene keys does is it says there are 64 archetypes that are going to be in those little shadow creatures that are creeping around. And some of them are going to be bigger for some of us than others. But if we can understand it, really look at it, really get familiar and clear about it. And so in those shadow frequencies, you might, like, for example, one is the shadow of victimization. So that you can repress that or you can react to that. And so that's going to be complaining. Complaining is the repressed, like, oh, my life is just really hard, and I didn't like how that was, and bringing it inside, or blaming. You're the reason that happened. You're my problem. It's you. So I'm reacting out versus, or I'm complaining in. So if you can understand, like, oh, I might tend towards that. Oh, I see myself where I complain. So you start to see where those come into your life, and then you can shine the light on them, and then start to come out of that into what they would call a higher frequency. So a frequency, the gift frequency. So you're using this understanding and this exploration of victimization and growing out of it. So it's literally this little seed, and you watered it and you nurtured it and you got the weeds out of it and you spent the time and you did the work. And now all of a sudden, you're up in this gift frequency. And in this case, it's freedom. So now you're running on a plane that you're using what used to be the shit. You turned it into compost and grew this amazing capacity. And now you're on this frequency plane of like, man, I've got all this freedom going. I'm rocking freedom right now because I really did that work with the shadow. So the shadow is not inherently bad. It's actually a gift. It's actually this wonderful thing that we need in order to evolve. And then above that one, it goes into an even higher one, which might be like the enlightened state. So people looking for enlightenment, that would be 64 different words for that, for being in an enlightened state.
Interesting. This is so... we were talking earlier before we hit record about just the way in which life is like attuning to these conversations. And literally last night, my partner and I were having a conversation about victimization and about these shadow frequencies of, is it my fault or am I supposed to blame someone else? And I was like, there's got to be something else in that though, right? Those are the two sides of the same coin, right? The shadow and to this place of freedom and like the word there, exaltation of like, okay, life's reverence is not against me. It's not to me. It's for me. And living in a different vibrational frequency of like, okay, why else? and allowing ourselves to water those experiences that we've had, whether it's in our childhood or adolescent or adult years, to being like, okay, if I'm not a victim, what else could this mean? And I don't remember what mine were in terms of like the 64, but I remember when I read mine, I was like, damn, like
Your profile.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can put your birth information in, and based upon its math. I know a lot of people love astrology, and then some people are very skeptical about it. But the way I love to say it is, it's just math.
Yep.
And so you're taking from where you were born, where you came in on this geographical or geometrical shape in relation to the other geometrical shapes that are happening within our place together here in the solar system or galaxy. And then so there's this very specific little mathematical thing that put you in this very specific spot. And from that, these 64 gene keys are also math. They come from a system very ancient from China called the I Ching. And it has 64 hexagrams, which are these specific lines that do a specific thing with math. And there's this whole mathematical, it's perfectly done. And then these hexagrams, when they got put into the gene keys, he was able to see that with the genetic code, they match up absolutely perfectly. And so it's very, very cool, right? So they have all this math, but then you have your map that comes from your time of birth and place within it all. And so that's, I just, in case people didn't know, that's what you mean by your profile and how it came. And you can get that on genekeys.com for free. You just type in your birth information and it's right there for you to explore. So it's, I can't remember, maybe 12 specific ones that relate to you, but each sphere represents a different aspect of your life. So like your life's work or your purpose or your radiance. And so it has these different lenses that you can look at these gene keys through. Or you can just go to the specific, say, oh, I'm experiencing so much conflict. Oh, there's a shadow of conflict. Maybe go straight to that chapter and just contemplate that and go deeply into that, even if it's not in your profile. Yeah. So you can use it so many ways.
Interesting. Whether it's astrology or human design or gene keys, all three of them, all based in math, all mind-blowing. A lot of people are like, whoa, it's ridiculous. And it's like, you're just not in tune with yourself. That's okay. Just, kind of sleep.
With the human design, I love it because there's so many people that are, especially in my world, who I deeply respect and appreciate, but they're very skeptical or just not in the same, exploration that I'm in, but very skeptical. We look up their type, their profile type. We get a couple little informations and they look, and I've had so many people say, I don't understand how this is so spot on. Yeah. This is creepy that it knows, and it's just one of those things.
I remember, on both sides, right? First astrology reading. I was raised in a Catholic and scientific household, so like you don't question things, and this is the way things are and whatnot. And I remember I moved to Maui from Dayton, Ohio. And when I moved to Ohio, I was leaving corporate America, and I was like just starting to kind of go onto the fringe of, the esoteric arts and whatnot. And I remember so many of my friends were into astrology, and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me, guys. Like, really? Yeah. And then I got my first astrology read. Like, I had heard enough from people that I was like, you're literally describing things that okay, fine. So I paid someone for an astrology reading, and she read my natal chart and told me things about myself that you would not be able to tell me if you didn't know me intimately.
I had the exact same experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the same thing happened with human design. I got a human design reading from a friend.
Yep.
And she's like, when you're living in your purpose, or some way she put it, she was like, or how did she say it? She's like, based upon this placement right here, the use of your voice, especially the tone of it, will determine the success of your endeavors. And I was like,
so are you a manifesting generator?
Generator. 3-5, I think.
Because of the voice, I was thinking it meant defined. But if you're a generator, you don't have it defined. So I'm interested in what gate that you have that's open there. Doesn't matter. We're going too off.
We'll get there later. We'll get there later after the show. But no, and same thing with gene keys. Like this guy I was doing a lot of like shamanic work with in Ohio, shamanic breath work and sweat lodges and all these type of things, has a copy of the gene keys next to his toilet. And so every time I'd go for my morning meeting with myself, I'd just open the gene keys and I would just, I'd pull up my profile and I start reading these things, and I was just like, God damn, like this is so spot on. And from what I remember, and I could be wrong on this, but didn't Richard Rudd like pretty much channel this whole thing?
I don't know if he would use the word channel from what I understand. Yeah, more so he had a mystical experience over this course of a few days where he was in a altered, non-drug induced, altered state of consciousness that was extreme.
Yeah.
And then got this download.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think the word download would be more of the term I've heard. And of
Yeah.
course, I can't speak for him directly, but just from what I've heard him say. And then, but over the course, it then took 7 years for him to get the book and all the meat of it down.
Right. Yeah. Like download. Yes.
And it's still continually evolving because there's still many pieces. But yeah, I've been studying that book for over a decade. And I still just do not feel like I have even scratched the surface. Every time I come to it, I just feel so grateful that I have these little gems. And talk about resonance. It's just something I will read something and feel in my body like, whoa, that was correct. That is what you need to hear. That's what you've been feeling. And same with the human design in certain ways. They're different. They come from a very similar mathematical input. But with the human design, like what you said when you got the reading and were telling you things about yourself, there was certain places with mine that was like, as a child, you might have experienced something like this. Literally my exact experience as a child. I'm like, that happened to me to the point of like me going out of the house and cops coming and having to bring me back to my family and like all these different things. And like, that's exactly, it. And then you might be having these challenges. And I'm like, yes. And so it helped me understand these people have issues with you. This is why. And if you adjust this and this and this, you're going to have way less resistance. Right. And I've been playing with that and being like, whoa. And I have so much less resistance. I'm no longer swimming upstream or feeling like I have this massive cart on my back that I'm toting and people are throwing stuff in it. I'm actually able to initiate and move forward and do what I need to do and actually have people maybe come and help support me because they don't feel threatened or unsure of what I'm going to do because I might used to. So mine's a manifester, just the pure manifester, which means like, go, initiate, move, go, which is not usual. That's not the way most of, like, as a generator, you're not meant to operate like that. You're meant to let it come to you.
Yes.
Let it come to you. You're just bringing it to you. So but society's probably told you as a man, you need to go get it. Right. It's told me as a woman, you need to sit still and don't do it, right?
Wow.
So it's so interesting. So then as I'm starting to know, I'm supposed to be going to get it. But then when I do, people feel very uncomfortable and there's a lot of resistance. So now I'm learning, if I just inform you, hey, I'm about to do this. I want to do this, and it's going to look like that. You good? Good. Boom. Then I can go, and they feel safe because now I told them. Whereas before, I ain't got to tell you anything. I'm trying to go.
Right.
So it's just a funny one. Yeah.
That's really cool. And yeah, like, remember when I got my human design reading, it was like, your strategy is to respond. You have to wait to be asked. And I was like, fuck that.
Yep,
like,
waiting.
that is like the lead. No, I am not a victim, and I am powerful. And all of a sudden, it was like, bro, you missed the point. And that has been the case of like, for me, it has been a practice of just put it out there. Just tell people what you're up to and the right people will come to it. If you try to convince them, you will turn them off. And I'm like, yuck. But it feels so much better. When
I try to tell all my generator friends, and people hear human design, they hear the term manifester. And they're like, oh, I want to be that one.
Right. That's what I have. And I was like, I'm a manifesting generator. And they're like,
or
no,
the manifesting generator. But
Yeah.
I have a lot of generator friends that will hear these terms and then they're like, wah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Like, you pure generators are absolute gold. And y'all are magnets.
Yep.
Y'all are these powerful magnets that are drawing beauty and amazing things to you. You have an unlimited motor. You have an energetic center that if you're doing what you love, you are the Energizer Bunny and you do not stop.
Yep.
Hello? Like,
Yep.
that is insane.
Yep.
Like, y'all are the life force of the planet. It's just absolutely incredible
to
be a generator. So I love my generator friends. But yeah, different than what I'm working with. But yeah, y'all, just the capacity to bring things to you. How efficient could that be?
Right.
You don't got to go anywhere.
Right.
It just shows up.
It's one of the reasons I love this podcast is because it's like I get to have amazing conversations with amazing people. Okay. And half of them come here. Like, this is great, and
Look, I'm here.
right. It's and to just allow, allow people to come into my sphere and being like, would you like to do this? And they're like, absolutely. And I love telling people, or like holding space to tell people stories. So it's like, and you get to share the cool things you're up to. It's like
Storytelling.
I think storytelling is one of the oldest technologies. Started around the fire when we were like, what do we do now? Like, what the hell is that thing? And it's like, well, we'll tell stories, and it's something in it that unlocks us on such a deep level, being like, oh, like you said, you're reading a fantasy novel and
I was going to say the ancient audiobook.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like, yes. And to I don't remember who said it, but there's something so powerful in fictional books because it creates empathy with the character. And we get to relate on a deep level, whereas we're just reading Brene Brown and all this fucking Simon Sinek, and it's like, well, I'm not good enough here because I'm also here and also here, and it's like, just stop.
Like it's the inner work is so valuable and so important, and at a certain point, it has to just be assimilated or let it simmer so that you can just let go and let love, like go play. There's got to be that balance between doing the work and then experiencing the joy of the work you've done. But I think it's common for us as humans, that especially as seekers, that, you know, we want to fix it, we want to do well, we want to excel, we want to have, and so we keep going. But that's counterproductive at a certain point.
Yep.
Doing too much work.
Yep.
Being a workaholic, an inner workaholic.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's, you know, something I was thinking about yesterday, of like one of the most addictive, like the shadow side of healing is this thinking we know what's wrong with us. You know, and then like,
Will we say that again?
yeah, like the addiction to thinking we know what's wrong with us.
Ooh,
And so going after that of like, no, it's this, and I'll prove it to you, and here's all my evidence, and judge and jury, I am this, and this is what it is, and this is how it's manifesting in my body, and
Look
to
at my
some
data.
right, and to some extent there may be some adequacy to it or relevancy to it, but again, back to life being like, and this is kind of what I was saying earlier about this back pain I have, is like, I am getting a benefit out of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have it anymore. You know, so there's some part inside of me that thinks that it is doing the best thing for me right now by holding it. Okay, let me go explore that versus being like, no, this is what's wrong and this is why it has to come out. And I'm going to go find, whether it's the somatic practice or the psychedelic or the whatever, to being like, you have to leave me. And it's like, I'm tired of bullying.
Can I share something related to that? The experience I had where I was working with a physical therapist who is beyond her title needs to be like expanded times 1,000 there, but for simplicity's sake, doing a physical therapy session. And I had previously been in an accident where I busted and or broke like 20, 25 bones and collapsed a lung. So, you know, very physically busted up. And over the time working with my body and getting myself what we would call unwound, right? Because I had all these different patterns that put my body in a place where it was very asymmetrical to the point of a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort and those types of things. So learning how to unwind that and to come back to center, to get my strength back and to all those things. And I was on the table and I was working with tension in my shoulders. And I had this massive, what I would call like rocks, just like these massive, like the neck, like ropes, and then these huge boulders of rocks in my shoulder. And they were just, I was so frustrated with them and so angry. And she had me kind of visualize, like, what do they look like? You know, and I had it in my head, like, it's these little monsters, like these little beasts in there. And I want them gone, very much like what you were saying. Like, just get out. Like, can you just bust them out of there? Like, can't we just fight them and break them out? It makes me emotional to think about it. And then she just held me there for a bit and she said, Elee, it's like so hard for me to even say it to y'all because it's so touching to me. She's like, when your pelvis was shattered and it could not hold you up, those were what was doing it.
Yeah.
And I just remember that moment just being like, you know, softened to just, and in that softening, they of course softened, not fully, but they're still there a little bit, you know, but now it's so much less. And just to feel that awareness of, I'm wanting to beat up this thing that literally was the reason that when I didn't have that muscular capacity, it was what was keeping me moving.
Yeah.
And so I just, that story when you shared that about the pain you're feeling, and I don't know if that's a similar thing or how related, but yeah, that was a powerful moment for me of like, oh, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just here trying to bully this thing that's actually been in service to me.
Right.
Rude.
Right. Right.
So big one. Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Been a while since I've thought about that.
Yeah. And it's so powerful. I do I've been in parts therapy for years now, and like the languaging they use around these things are our protectors, you know, and so they're protecting us from something, and a lot of people have beef with their protectors because their protector might be smoking weed or watching porn or yelling at their kids or whatever. And when we do these compassionate, curious self-inquiries, we get to a place to understand of like, oh, this is what's actually holding me up. This is what's protecting me from my disappointment, my rejection, my perceived limitations, and how beautiful that you've been working so incredibly hard at this. And in allowing them to soften and alleviating the tension that they're doing, almost always, I might even say always, they're ready for another job. They're like, yeah, I'd actually like to play. You know, the little boy or girl in us that's like, no, we can't be not not good enough or whatever, all that stuff. And it's like when we alleviate their burdens and we ask them what do they want to do, they're like, I just want to go run outside.
Yeah.
I just want to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go like draw a chalk. It's like, oh, okay, buddy. Well, let's get you out of there and go give you a new.
Yeah, it's not this big elaborate thing that's just like grandiose. Like it's just ordinary.
Right.
Just want to chill,
Right.
party with
Right.
trees.
Right. Listen to the birds.
Give me a soccer ball. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's to that point of like simplicity, right? Simple, not easy always. And breath work being one of those practices of like, it's a simple practice of just breathing, right? Like everybody breathes, but then you start doing it, right? And it just before we started recording, Elee led me through a practice. And, when you were like, okay, expand your pelvis, but don't expand your belly, or expand your lower belly, but not your ribs, or expand your back belly, but not your, like does not compute, and your guidance to doing so of just like, okay, it was such a gentle invitation. I got no feeling of wrongness of me doing it. There was no like right versus wrong. Scott, this is how you be a good boy, and this is how you be a bad boy, and that was so much of my upbringing was being wronged. Mm-hmm. And so I just really appreciated your guidance and openness to allow whatever was happening, and then also this gentle invitation of, okay, great, and what about here? Could you tell us a bit about your journey with breath work or breathing? We'll say breathing, and how you've come to where you are.
Well, I just want to reflect back what I heard from you say. Yes, we're all breathing. And in that sense, no matter, we're all doing it right. And what skill level are you at and capable of? And how can it impact you or help you or maybe not help you in certain environmental situations, whether it be emergency situation, or you're just watching Netflix, with your children, or you're at work or needing to focus or needing to sleep, or all those things. And so how skillful are you at wielding this tool? I don't know if I like the word tool for breath, because it is just such a part. It is the essence. Mm-hmm. How skillful are you at being in your essence, mm-hmm. such that you can then adapt to the environments that you need to? And so going back to, that's sort of what I heard you say.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, it was
great.
Nice for me to hear myself say that back, because it felt really important for me to hear that. And then in terms of my breathing practice or journey, so in that accident that I was in, I collapsed a lung. So that was one piece already of just having a physical trauma around what it means to be able to breathe and not, and then plus all the broken bones and such. And so then after that, I remember being in college in Austin, Texas, and going up these big stairs every day that I had to do. And I remember the very first day I saw those stairs, and I was like, oh, shit. Like, I was so intimidated by them, and rightfully so. By the time I got to the top, it's like I was so out of breath to the point of almost needing to panic. My body's aching. My knee feels like, I'm not even going to be able to walk further. And I'm trying to go be this little college girl, and I can't even make it up the steps. And then I took a yoga class, and I'd never taken yoga before. I'm in East Texas, right? There ain't no yoga. And so at that time, there is now.
Yeah.
At the time, there wasn't. And so I went to this yoga, and it was, a college class. So it was consistent, and I had to show up and I had to be there, which was really supportive for me at the time. At the end of that semester, I had to go do a thing for a test or whatever. And I'm like, up the stairs, and up, and then didn't even really impact me much physically, especially my legs that were more challenged. And I just remember in that moment being like, oh, okay, there's so much more to this, and it needs to, and in that class, there was a lot of breathing practices and awareness, and pranayama is a big feature of yoga. And so I already started to get downloaded with that in that session. The teacher was like elderly angel woman, and so I was very lucky that I had somebody who had been practicing a discipline very in full devotion and reverently for 40 years or something. So I was really lucky to have that as my very first download. So that was really important too. Long story short, from that I realized there's more. So then I started seeking, and I found qigong. I started changing my diet and doing all the different things that started to show little relief. And then at a qigong course, I experienced breath work, right? Like a big old session. And for me, I was impacted, I would say, more so than almost anyone I've worked with, in the way that I think my body had literally just been so held and not gripping, not breathing a lot. And so I had so little capacity for anything different. I didn't really have a lot. So when I went into this big session and got this massive opening, it came also with a release of the floodgates for me emotionally, because at that time I did not cry because I am strong and weak people cry. I don't cry, you know? So I had already been repressing all that for Lord knows how long. And so then going into all of those things coming to this big crescendo, I had a very powerful moment of me just being in the fetal position, covered in snot. My shirt's like completely soaked, you know, and I'm just like wrecked in sobs. The sweet lady's like patting my back, and then all the hippies are up like dancing and singing with gratitude and love for the world, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck, you know, is happening? Like, I don't understand what this is. And so I went to the facilitator. I wanted to know, like, what's the root of this? Like, where did you come across this? And then, oh, this crazy guy, Wim Hof, you know? So then I search Wim, and then I find him at a workshop where there are more people in my workshop doing his method now than were in that room then. I learned that day that I was terrified of the ice, and the ice baths were very scary. I didn't know that going in. I'm like, oh, it's just an ice bath, no big deal, some pain, in and out. So I learned something very different that day. But then just to wrap up the breathing journey is that, so I had those experiences of, I would say maybe my first 10 Wim Hof Method breathing experiences were hard. Like there was so much emotion and so much constriction and lack of capacity to flow. And there, as Wim would say, like, you know, he used to call it back in the day, like, let's get the shit out. We're going to breathe and get the shit out. Whereas now it's called Wim Hof Method basic breathing. But then it's get the shit out. And so I had to go through a long period of time where I had to clear and clean and get to the point to where I could actually enjoy a session. And that's not the case for everyone now that I've seen and worked with so many people. It's not always that way. And it can be so variably different. But I remember one day being in a session with him and having a literal orgasmic, euphoric, I could feel the lines of energy moving through me. I could feel that they were free. And I could feel my body want to move, and I could go into different postures, yoga postures that maybe would have been restricted. But in this case, I was like, whoa, you know, I was able to just really access so much more. And Wim comes over and he kind of pokes me a little bit, and he's like, you're clean.
Wow.
Do you know? So it's like, I'd gotten enough shit out, you know, that I could finally breathe. Whereas before, like right with my shoulders here, so I'm like that's probably my breath. I could only access here. I didn't have any access to the rest of my body. Okay, and then one more layer here that what we were also just working on in that session is that doing all the physical therapy with this incredible practitioner that I'm so blessed to work with, she was able to help me access my pelvis and the pelvic floor region, and then the muscles of my tummy, and then the low back, and then the diaphragm, and accessing not just the rational, oh, I know that there's this muscle in between my ribs. It's like I can actually internally feel and know where those are. And I remember the first time her having me access taking a breath in the low part of my body, I didn't have it. And then we did the things we did to find it. And I will never forget that moment of feeling my whole body just go, and like this expansion downward. And I got access to this. And then everything went down, and the ribs and the lungs and everything. And I was like, oh my. And in that moment, I remember thinking, that was it. I can now breathe. I am the breather. You know, like it will not get better than this. And then I think maybe through a different practice that we were speaking about, the bowspring, was working with the ribs. And then I had this moment of like, wow. I now have back ribs. I can now breathe. Now I am there. And then the next time, and then the next, and I'm still there where I'm like finding these new layers. So that's, I guess, the end of my explanation of that journey, is that I'm at the point now where I'm pretty sure it doesn't end. It just continually expands or evolves or shifts, and it's been so lovely. But yeah, in the beginning, finding those little doors into these new reservoirs inside myself and being able to inhabit myself more, and being able to literally breathe and find more capacity. And so when I watch people now, and I feel like I've gained a skill level of being able, what used to take me an hour to get, if someone is challenged and doesn't quite have that access yet, it used to take me maybe an hour. And now recently I've been able to watch it, and I'm like, oh man, like in 10 minutes I can kind of communicate, like wordsmith my way through into their awareness. And then all of a sudden the body's just like, doom, 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 doom. And it just wants it so bad. It just drinks it up and goes into it when we give ourselves the permission to actually go into our body, silence the mind, turn that down a little bit, and actually feel the chemical language of what your body's actually craving and wanting, and how you can get out of your own way and access it. Whew. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about with breath and what has given me that.
Yeah, no, and that session we did, the fourth round when we went into the breath hold and just climbing that ladder of holds, right? The bandhas through the chakras, that came up right to about my diaphragm, my solar plexus area, and the hold was like, oh, this is actually what we want to hold. And it took not even just this crazy forceful breath work, but this like beautifully exquisite, explorative kind of symphony of like, okay, let's go into this side and this side. And then, okay, we'll climb up. And it wasn't this like, go, go, go. It was like, okay, the first round was very much like just being in tune with the body and listening. And then by the end of it, when I was in that hold, it was like, oh, this is what I actually want to hold. Like, and, to that point of what we spoke on earlier was like, there was no pain in my body, and it was like, oh yeah, this is an experience I have. Like, it's not always painful. It's often painful, but it's not always painful. And can I get to know this experience more, and let go of, and I love the way that you were cueing the inhale versus the exhale of the give versus the receive, and just allowing myself to receive this.
So often we're told, take a breath.
Right.
It's, if you think about that language and what that communicates in terms of the way we know that term to mean, it's like you're taking, it's this action. Whereas if we receive a breath, it's so different for me, at least. Those cues are so verbally helpful for me. If I'm receiving a breath, it's just, so useful.
The difference in breathing, and I know you're working on new offerings and all that stuff, but I highly recommend the listener. I will put Elee's information in the show notes as well as in the post, but go find her. I'm sure at some point you'll have some way to work with you both virtually and in person to experience this type of just somatic inquiry, because it was not what most people know of as breath work. A lot of people have this like, well, it's work and it's hard and it's heavy, and it's like, I don't know. That was like kind of like a paintbrush, Like there was such a different like deliciousness to it that wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna breathe really hard and I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna feel like I'm unhinging and my hands are gonna cramp really bad and then I'm gonna have to cry, and
which I facilitate that too.
That is definitely in your wheelhouse as well.
But it's not always needed. But sometimes it is.
Yeah.
That's what's so beautiful about, I think, going back to that stepping out of the judgment. This is how it is. This is what you need. I feel like if someone who's holding space for you to explore or to heal, and they're telling you exactly what is, I would be very wary of that. And I am wary of that. And there is, I guess I've been playing on this term in my head, like this dynamic dance of duality. And what to me that means is that there's this variable experience, or they often speak about like a web, Indra's net or web, and that each little intersection has a gem, and that gem reflects everything of every. And so if you look at it in that way, that means that there's an infinite possibility or variability or thing that's needed. So for what works for one person at that time could be nice for you, but it actually could be really challenging and set you back. And how do we understand and discern what we need? And I feel like the only way that is possible is for us to get skillful at sitting with ourselves and listening to ourselves and being with our experience without the judgments or the mental frameworks of, oh, I should because they said, or because that worked for them. And so Wim nails that. He nails that. So when I first saw him at that first first workshop, he said, feeling is understanding. And he looked at me, and I just, in that moment, I had a little bomb go off inside me of awareness. I took so much from that statement. And a lot of people are now translating that and using it and playing with that little one-liner. But to me, it's very much that the sovereign, like I am the God of myself. I am the one that is experiencing it and knowing it. And I'm the only one that can flow and grow all of that. And we're all interdependently connected.
Yep. So
you and me here in this space, like we do connect and depend upon each other in a greater sense, but ultimately, my breath and the way that so if someone asked me to blast myself to bejesus and back with a breathwork practice and that feels right to me, fuck yeah.
Great.
And if I'm starting to go in and everything in me is like, this is not correct, I don't keep going because that person's telling me to do, of course, right? Like
Right.
that thing, that's what I'm trying to,
Yeah.
it just feels really big to me and important to me right now to claim that, but to also hold that for others.
Yes.
So even though I think that someone should eat really healthy and they should stop eating trash food, that's what I think they should do because I think they'll be healthier. That is not my place.
Right.
I have to stay in my lane.
Right.
If that person I love wants to still eat Cheetos, then that's
Great.
what they're choosing to do. And somehow that's correct for them.
Yep.
So it's hard to rationalize in my head. But working with that just 100%, I'm not here to fix anybody. I'm just here to love them.
Right. 100%. 100% for those in the back, right? Like I tell people, like, I'm not in the business of advice giving. I don't know enough about your life to have any idea what I could even say over you to be of value. What I can do is provide you a space to listen to you very presently, to reflect back to you what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if you say these Cheetos are shit and I shouldn't eat them, and you want me to hold you accountable, we can create a plan.
Yes.
But if you want to say, like, I love these things and I want this in my life, okay, great.
Yeah, I love that.
I had a buddy come to me and he was like, I want you to help me quit smoking weed. And I was like, okay. And the more I would sit with him, the more he would say, like, I just feel so shameful and I want to feel like I'm allowed to do this. And I was like, it doesn't sound like you should quit smoking weed, bro. Like, it sounds like this is actually really helpful in your life to work through some of these things. So what if you drop the judgment and the shame and all the self-beratement and just allowed yourself to do it? And over time, he was like, I don't even need to smoke nearly as much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. How's that feel? He's like, so much better?
Yeah.
Cool. No problem.
I've had similar experiences in my journey as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I say at the beginning of my practices, like, this is your practice. I'm going to be here as a reminder to keep breathing. But if you want to change your breathing pattern or something else to what suits you and your inner knowing, do it. Mm-hmm. This is not Simon Says. Mm-hmm. And I used to be the guy that go to yoga studio and I would do a completely different practice. Teacher's like, what the fuck are you doing? We're in tree pose. I'm like, yeah, and I'm in warrior too, motherfucker. What about it? I'd be sitting down on the floor and they would be up and like, and I'm just like, oh, that's cute. You thought you were here to tell me what to do. And I wouldn't be like that forceful about it. But
Sure.
Oh no, I'm just learning how to listen to my inner knowing. And, I'm coming here because I like the heated space. And so right now this feels good to my body. And almost always they'd be like, dope. I love that. Thank you so much.
You communicate it in a respectful way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my buddies would be like, who the fuck are you? And they'd be like, get out of my class, bro. Like,
I mean, because there might be places, right, where as a facilitator, that might not be an appropriate place for two people to come together because it could be distracting or to other
Right.
people and so that's interesting to then flow within what works in that situation.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And I love you bringing women into the conversation because to me, and I've never met the guy, right? Like we were the one teacher training at the time that, because of COVID, like we didn't, but he has always embodied a couple things. One for surely is this lighthearted fun play. I mean, the guy called in wearing a taxidermy giraffe head. I've still got the video of just like, what is this? Like, who is this man? But also an ascended master, like he's tapped into something that I haven't figured out.
He's tapped into himself
Yes.
at a very deep level,
Yeah.
given no shits.
Yeah.
There ain't no shame there.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. He loves himself and
Yeah.
and he's not intimidated by others. So people can come to him with genius and power and he can just look at them and be like, wow,
Yeah.
you are so great.
Yeah.
And then he can see people who are in their lower self and then he can peel those layers back and be like, wow, look how incredible you are.
Right.
I would say that's absolutely one of his top primary gifts or skills. And I don't know if anyone really, other than me, points that out, but at least for me, I would say that's one of the most valuable things he gave to me as a teacher and friend was he was able to see me in different lights that might not have been, the average person might have been like, yeah, Elee, that kind of, you need to fix that one. Why don't you kind of clean up, the little judgments around how this is making me feel uncomfortable. I don't really know. Yeah, you probably should, all those things like that, sort of my stickiness, right? That like they could see the sticky, rightfully so. He saw the sticky and was like, wow, amazing, great, do this. That looks great. Wow. And I'm like, me? Yeah, amazing. Fuck yeah, whoa. And I'm like, huh? And so like then noticing, giving permission to just notice those beautiful parts and to nurture them versus just keep shaming. So there's no shame.
Yeah.
No shame. And then just going in and connecting and knowing what's there is just love. It's like I have just never seen someone so masculine and big and strong and wants to have this, he's a
He's a big guy.
big old like like burly, right? Like just
Mountain man.
masculine mountain of a man. But his main primary teaching is love.
Right.
100%, no shame. And so again, where I come from, men don't talk about that because
Right.
that's, you talk about that, then that's going to make you less of or whatever the story is.
Right.
But so it was that was another offering that I got to see of like, oh wow, like we can talk about this. Like we can talk about love. Like, so I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
And so that was another one. And then like you said, the play as well. So just one story of between he and I that was just so I love to look back on is that we went to Sedona to in between different workshops he was teaching. I was helping support those and went to a gym shop, and he bought this big, beautiful blue stone that was just so big and super cool. And we landed in Austin, and then we're in the airport, and he dropped it, and it shattered, it broke into like 5 pieces.
Cool.
Exactly. And when that happened, oh my gosh, the little girl in me was devastated, and I was like, like uprooted, sad, like this thing just broke, like I can, just literally internally losing my shit. And he looks over at me, great, I now have 5 gifts. Here, this one is for you. And so then like I have this little rock and I'm like, wow, okay. So just those little things that it's like, that's just not the norm.
Right.
We don't normally just go that way. So those are some of the, I would say, bigger lessons that I've taken from him.
And how beautiful for you to be present enough to witness them because they're so subtle. It wasn't like, well, in the sense of like, it wasn't like, here's the workshop and here's the takeaway.
Sure.
It was like, this life's just happening and you're present enough to witness his joy in that moment versus be on your phone, or something else,
true.
Just not paying attention, and to witness him in his joy and excitement to being like, wow, that is not what I would have expected. And look at how, as a feeling, as understanding, right? Being like, this is real. He's not performing. He's not pretending. Like, this dude is stoked.
Exactly. There's no authenticity out the wazoo. Yeah. There's no pretending whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by subtleness. Like, most people miss the like there's just the exquisiteness of life because they're looking at their phone or something, they're just not paying attention. And it's like, did you see that? Like, that was pure magic right there. And it's like, and that's another thing I love about this place is it just invites you home, like there's cell phone signals trash out here half the place, so it's like your phone ain't gonna do shit for you. It's like, okay. Everything closes at 8:00, Maui midnight is 9.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to do except for just be. And I really do believe, and I love how much you brought stillness into this practice because I tell people, I work in the ancient arts of breath, cold, stillness. I'm not over here with like these gadgets and this like 7-step process. Like, just sit and do nothing and it will come to the surface. Like, I'd say, like, if you meditate long enough, there's only one thing to do. Do that thing. And then get back to meditating. And then do that thing.
You know how hard it is to sit still for most of us? I mean, it's probably one of the hardest. And again, so simple, but like mostly impossible for a large
I
portion.
can't do that. I don't have time. What does that mean?
I don't know if that's even the main one for most people. I would feel like
Internally, bodily
lots
sensation.
of people will tell me straight up, like, I ain't gonna do that because that's like impossible. That's fucking hard. That hurts.
Yeah.
Like, that's intense.
Right.
Like, I think people are pretty open about that, at least now when I bring it up, that like I cannot do that because that's so intense.
Yeah.
And then think about what that means. It's so intense to sit with myself.
Right.
It's intense to be with myself.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. That's what we're working with.
Right.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the epidemic.
That's the epidemic. Yeah.
That we have an unwillingness to be. Amber was saying something like, how do I be? And I was like, that's a full sentence. Whatever you're going to say after that, that's a full sentence.
I love that. How do I be?
And that's why I called this podcast the Embracing Human Podcast, right? It's how do I embrace my full human experience?
I love that, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a whole thing in itself of just like, because I believe our nature is to embrace all of this as a gift. And some of it's like, this gift is covered in poop.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's still a gift.
Or this gift hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we talked earlier about grief, and pets dying. And it's like that was one of the worst days of my life.
Oh, pets are a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the guys working on one of the houses here, like, he just lost his dog. And he was talking about how much he's crying. I was like, bro, I cried every day for a year. I was like, let yourself. He's like, yeah, I know. He's like, it's really hard, but it's important.
Grief itself is a practice.
Yes.
So I am just now being really clear in understanding that more so than ever. And it's a very worthwhile practice that yields wonderful, beautiful results.
Yes.
But until you understand, or at least until I understood the skill set that it required and the different subtleties of what it means to truly grieve, and the fact that our society doesn't really understand that, it doesn't hold space for that, it doesn't teach that, we're not shown that.
No.
It's a practice and a skill set that we've never seen,
Yep.
but we need it in order not to get ill.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, to really do it can be messy.
Oh,
It
man.
can be messy, yeah.
I've got, and I like, because I was so in the world and I haven't like really come out with this yet. I have a plan to, but I've been so in the world of content creation and recording myself that I was like, I'm just going to record the whole thing. So I've got 8,000 videos on my phone, and probably 1,000 of them are the last year and a half of grief.
Wow.
Of just me going absolutely ham sometimes, just beating things and screaming.
I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
Like, for as much as I've been in it, like the past me would have been like, oh, like, I'm sorry, like, let me fix this for you, you know? Then I hear that you're going into that level, and I'm like, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking. I've had hands and knees on the earth, sobbing to the point that I vomit.
Yep.
And like I say that
Yep.
to somebody, and they're like, "That's extreme. That's too much." And I'm like, "Actually,
Amazing.
I'm pretty sure most of us are supposed to be doing that.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure."
The technology of the body is very smart. You know, like I had one where while you're here, if you haven't done it before, go to Elee Valley. We'll talk about it after. I had an experience where I was fucked up, man. I was not in a good place. And so I hiked into the valley, into a place where I knew no one would be around. And I screamed so hard, I puked 6 times. Just, blah, ah. And I have it on video, of just like, I was like, fuck it. Like, I just want to put, like, I want to see myself allowing my voice to be heard, And so I just had the screaming part, and it just resulted in me puking, and it's like, okay, like, I don't know what this is, but my body does. Like,
I'm gonna take that as an invitation.
I'll
work on, because screaming is one that I don't let myself do. I definitely am learning and practicing crying and allowing that, but screaming is definitely one that, or just accessing anger.
Yep.
Yeah. So
anger is a really hard one for a lot of people.
Yeah, because we're told that it's shameful to be angry.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that was an interesting one that I should explore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, screaming underwater, that one my old roommate told me
fun.
about. Like, go in the ocean and just scream underwater.
Oh, fun. Okay. I'll be in
Yeah.
the ocean soon, so that'll be great.
Yep. That one's a really good one. And
That
then,
one's like funny
Yeah.
in a sense. That one's like a fun,
Yeah.
like anger fun.
Yep. Or like beating the water. Like, I'll just go into EOW and just beat on the pools, or take sticks and just smash them up against rocks, and just like, oh, wow. Like, because there's a righteousness to it. And not like a righteousness, like a convicted righteousness, but like a powerful, like, oh yeah, like,
A rawness.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, this is real, and I want to express this, right? Like, there's a movie called Wind River with Jeremy Irons, and it's about this woman. It's on the reservation in like Montana maybe, and this woman gets murdered. Native American gets murdered, and her father, or the dude Jeremy Irons, tells his friend, her dad, and he just goes ape shit, and he just sits there and lets him, and like witnesses him in it and holds the space for him to do so. And it's like 200 years ago, if your family got murdered by an Apache tribe, you wouldn't just go to work the next day. You would lose your absolute mind for a while. And then you would have to go to work, because you'd have to till the field and sow the seed, or you would die. But you would have the ceremony of anger and grief and whatever else to be like, why life? Why?
I think also in those times there wasn't as many outlets to escape.
Yeah.
And so it was more of an outcome that you're going to feel those feelings. Whereas now we have so many ways to escape. And so one of my teachers, she says, oftentimes we think we're feeling an emotion, but we're actually just sitting next to it. And so,
ooh, that's really good.
and so I can seeing that in myself a lot. So it's like, yeah, you can talk about your sadness and your anger, and you can talk about it. You can go through the stories, you can go through the things that happen. You're sitting next to it. You're not feeling it.
Wow.
And so that, was a really powerful awareness for me of what does it mean to actually truly feel a feeling? Because if you're thinking about the feeling, that means you're probably not feeling it.
Right.
Because
You can't think of feeling.
You can't think of feeling. Yeah. I mean, they are related, I think, in the way that our awareness connects the neurological symbol. If you can go make it super sciencey,
Yeah.
but the magic behind the fact that we're a living being that's breathing this breath that came through this heartbeat that came from where, and that, once you pull all that into it, it's like, okay, well, then you can start to dissect the difference between feeling and thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. and from my like somatic experiencing therapy, like learning how and neurolinguistic programming was a big part of this as well. Is like learning I think they call it representation models of the sight, sound, all that, the senses, to say like, okay, I'm feeling a feeling. Okay, what's it look like? Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Does it have a size? Does it have an intensity? Does it have what are the qualities to it? Which then, just by exploration, are dropping us into the body to feel it more.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a skill that most people, they don't know they don't have until they know they don't have it.
Yeah.
And
again, we're not given that, right? If
No.
you're younger and you're crying in
No.
the grocery store, like, you need to be quiet.
right. And there's a reason, right? Rockefeller and Rothschilds and making the medical model allopathic and solution oriented with pills and so that we don't actually get healthy. And I think there's an opportunity for a lot of people to come home to this, like, you are the healer.
Yeah.
Now if you get in a car accident, your pelvis gets crushed, like, sage isn't going to help you.
Western medicine put my leg back together and my arm back together. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, like
I do.
Yeah, like those things are
Yeah.
really helpful. But if you have gout, I don't know or high cholesterol, I don't know if Lipitor is going to solve your problem.
Yeah.
Personal opinion, come from me in the comments. Don't really care, but I think there are places, obviously, for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that I was thinking about also when we had Wim, beautiful Wim, here in the field with us.
Yeah.
One of the things that is so him, not only his authenticity, but his firm conviction
Yes.
and belief.
Yes.
His belief is very rooted in a knowing from his experience, from his, and then so there's this very clear, solid base of this is my belief and this is my knowing. And I think a lot of us are very unclear on what our actual beliefs are. We have them, they're running in the background, but we're not sure of them.
Yeah.
And so that plays a role into all of that. So like I believe that the doctor is the healer and he's the only thing I have, and that's the only option that I have is these pills, and I'm not going to get better, but I might feel a little bit better. So then this pill kind of helped me, but then also this
Right.
is getting worse. And so we go down those versus I believe I have a healing capacity and I can do that.
Right.
That's, I think, a really bold statement that I am now owning for myself, which
Truth.
I'm now to hold for others. But I'm checking myself when I tell, like can I look at someone in the eye to them and say, you can heal yourself.
Yes.
I want to say that, but I know I can say it for myself.
100%.
But then I'm like, do I want to say that to somebody else? Or it's like, they need to find that for themselves clearly. But how do I give that to them in a way that's not arrogant in the fact that, but do I? And then I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, maybe I do 100% fucking believe that.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
For me, it's a question.
It's a big
Do
one.
you no. For me, it's a knowing. What you said of how do
offering
I
it
give?
to
Yeah,
them
like,
with a
do you
question.
believe you can heal yourself?
Yeah, and if they say no,
Right. Like, okay, let's start there.
then you start there.
Where did you lose trust in your body? Right. Like, because growing up with horrific asthma and allergies and eczema and heartburn and all these things that are all gone now. Like, I don't use inhalers. I don't any of that stuff. I know I can heal
Those
myself.
are big layers that you went through. Yeah.
Yes. And I, from a languaging junkie standpoint, like the difference between believing in God and knowing God
Yeah.
is a big difference, right? Believing I can heal my body, knowing I can heal my body is a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And just, with the people I work with, do you believe that can go away? No. Okay, great. Tell me why. What's your evidence? Like how, and in a very open manner, just letting them have their experience. Okay, great. So we're not there. Okay, let's just be where we're at. Back to those protectors.
Well, and to the acceptance too. So that's that balance between I want to heal and I want to feel better, but also I am currently in this state feeling this now, and this is what is. I'm
Right.
not going to drink it away and act like it's not here. I'm allowing it to be.
Yes.
And with that allowance, then taking that journey. So that's another part of the equation too.
Yeah. Back to what you talked about with Wim. No shame. Oh, this is where you're at? Great. I love
Yeah.
you. I love you right here.
Yeah.
You can be right here and I'll be right there with you. I'm not going to sit here to judge you because then it just adds to the other thing to fucking work on versus like, oh, you do believe? Okay, great. What is that person up to? What do they look like? What are they doing? Drinking, tasting, smelling, feeling, okay, great. How close are you to him or her? And yeah, just to the point, right? Like you said earlier before we started, like not being a healer. Like I'm not a healer, a guide, a companion, a buddy, a mirror. That's usually what I say is a mirror, but I'm definitely not in the expression of healing others. Definitely not.
Yeah. Oh, the teacher and physical therapist I keep bringing up. She's so in my heart right now and in my field for a bunch of beautiful reasons. That's one of the things I've always so appreciated and respected about her is I've had some very massive healings on her table. And it is so clear, the energetic boundary that she knows she's there working with me and I am the one that did that.
Yep.
Yeah. So she always allows, she doesn't try to take my power from me.
Great.
And that's, who also is
Huge.
like that? Wim. Wim is like that too. He ain't trying to take anything from anybody. It's like, you have this and you can do this. And here's the little light. You go. Whoa,
Right.
look how cool you are. And so that's another thing that, yeah, just so respect and value in him.
Yeah.
In that way.
I love the distinction you made earlier too about taking a breath, because we don't. If you actually understand the physics of it, like we let our breath come in.
Yeah.
It's like the way the diaphragm works. It's like,
A vacuum.
oh, just like, oh, and so it's like, we're not even doing this. We're literally not doing it, and it's like, what am I doing? Like, who am I? What is this? Like, and allowing these perspective shifts to happen inside of us of like, oh, I allow my breath. I receive my breath. Like, I am the recipient of the most beautiful gift in the world, like.
And then when we exhale, in terms of our environment, it interfaces in such a way that, say, a plant or a tree is really grateful for.
Totally.
And utilizes. And so that we're like giving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do just love that, the giving and receiving. And then
so good.
another relationship between that's just been so big for me recently is that, all is one. Like it's this whole oneness, right? And then we're here in this dualistic experience. Giving and receiving are the same fucking thing.
Right.
Like it's the same thing.
There's no
And
separation.
the breath is the breath, right? So there's these two parts to it, but this is just one ebb and flow of what we are. But yeah, giving and receiving. And especially when that experience of giving to someone truthfully, not giving to them because you want them to like you or because you want to get something in return. That's not true giving, but true giving just because you really want to give and how good that feels.
Yeah.
It's, and I think about me receiving something incredible and I'm like, I don't know, like if I'm giving something in that way, it's equal, if not more, so it's just interesting to look at them as the same.
100%. Yeah. And just on that note of looking at the breath, like I was in a retreat in South America in Colombia in the mountains, and we brought in the elders of the Kogi tribe. And we had this round table around the fire where we got to ask them questions. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ask him a question. And I was like, I don't even know what to ask him. So I just asked him, what is the breath? And he just looks at me with the straightest face and says, the wind.
Cute.
And I was like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, it's always there. It never stops. It comes and goes. And it is. And I was just
Comes
like,
and goes and is. I love that.
I was like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm gonna sit down, And man, talk about just different lifestyles. This guy spent the first 25 years of his life in a cave, complete darkness.
Whoa.
Like, people are over here on the internet just trying 3 days. This guy spent like the first 2+ decades of his life in that.
He's like born into that.
Yeah. Like chosen before.
Chosen to be. Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Like just a whole different world.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. All the different iterations of what we're doing here is different humans.
Yeah.
But then essentially, I guess, the same human as well.
And what we are so like, this is societally, right? Like, you go and you sit with any of these tribes to drink, for example, like ayahuasca or yahe, and the people who pour start drinking when they're 6 and they start pouring when they're 12.
I did not know that.
And they're also chosen. So again, like, and that's normal. That's just what they are, what they do and how life occurs. And it's just like, you hear someone drinking ayahuasca, like, I even heard it a couple weeks ago. This guy I know was like, yeah, his daughter started drinking ayahuasca at 6. And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then I had to check myself of like, who the fuck am I to think I know what this girl or life? And she was amazing. She was very like with it and like normal, like she was fully expressed or to the best of her ability. Like it was like, this is okay. Noted. That's really cool. Tell me more. Yeah, it was super interesting.
Yeah, that's wild. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening to me. But again, right, like we just live in our slice of life, and this is what life looks like. And there's no yoga in East Texas, like that type of stuff. And then life expands, and here we are.
Life expands. I start really practicing and facilitating the Wim Hof Method, and I'm like going over to Poland to teach with Wim and all that, and my dad's like, yep, she's doing her yoga. Yeah. Right. So then yoga became the word for anything that is related. Doing yoga.
Yeah. Just because I remembered, I want to give a space for this. You've been in this, work, we'll say with women, and just because it's a topic of cold plunging is what's your take, your experience on women in cold plunging? It's such a hot topic these days.
It is. That's a fun one.
Yeah, and I'd love to just hear your perspective on it. You've done ice baths with, I'm sure, hundreds, if not thousands of people, let alone women. So what's the scoop?
My scoop, it goes back to Wim's feeling is understanding. I feel like that is an answer for so many different topics, and this one is massive.
Yeah.
And it goes back to that individual essence and where you are and what you need.
Yep.
And so right now, the scientific world is showing that they have proof that it's bad for women. And then there is other proof that it's really good for all these things. And that's science in general. I am not a science enthusiast. I appreciate it now, and I'm growing up and maturing to respect it more. And I am more, like I remember Wim said, Elee, the science, it's coming, because I was working with him before even some of the bigger research studies came out. And I'm like, I don't need your science. I can feel that it works. I don't need the science. Do you know? Why are we wasting all this money on science? Why can't we just get people on board? Otherwise, let's just go. Right. Now people are coming to my workshops because they saw the science and they appreciated that, and that helped them feel safe to come and try it. And so now I'm like, oh, wow, I have a way bigger respect for it in that way. Yeah. Nevertheless, it is also the very slippery slope of turning into a very dogmatic, intense religion. And I don't have a thing against religion either, as long as it's supporting and making things more harmonious versus doing things that are making way more struggle and challenge. So whatever you are within those realms.
Murdering children.
Yeah. So it's, so as long as it's got a high vibe to it, then I'm about it. And science has high vibes, but it also has that dark place to where it's like, it's very limiting. Yeah. And so I just caution against that, about taking data and then being like, this is the way. And so one of my teachers talks about first principle truth. There are very few first principle truths. So a lot of the stuff we're talking about might be a truth in one area, in one laboratory this was true within these conditions, but then these other conditions come in and then they change the whole game. Now it's completely different. So should a woman be cold plunging? Well, what's that woman, what's she doing? What's she feeling? What's she want? When she does cold plunge, what experience does she have? And so I've just watched too many women, one, come in with this thought, I'm weak, cold is too hard, I cannot do it. Go through the whole day, at the end, rock it, do incredible, not find out it wasn't that hard for them at all, and afterwards be like, I feel so empowered and inspired. So to have me see time and time again women say, I feel so empowered, I'm energized, that was awesome, and then to have a scientist come to me and say, oh, they should not be doing that. Well, yeah, it just doesn't add up for me. So are there women that should not be cold plunging? Probably. Yeah. Are there women that would be so benefited from it? Yeah. Those women that should not be doing cold plunging, are there things they could do through a certain journey and get to a point where now cold plunging would be useful for them? Probably. And so that would be that's a long answer for feeling is understanding is the short answer.
I love that. And that it's what I promote and reinforce in my workshops is like, you already won. You showed up, whether you breathe however you want to breathe. And if you want to do the ice bath, great. If you don't want to do the ice bath, also great. Your intuition.
Showing up is the big one.
Yes. Yeah. And just to be clear, you said, are there, more women that could benefit from cold plunging? Sure. Are there men who could benefit from not cold plunging? Sure. I think so many dudes are like, you know what? This is my disassociation Olympics right now. Can I just like get in this tub and not feel anything? And it's like,
that's funny.
Hey buddy, can you open your eyes and be here with me? And they're like, no, I'm getting out now. Like, it's okay.
All the ways, that we disassociate. And it's funny because I'm watching myself just revel in that judgment with you. And then watching myself be like, interesting of all the places that I choose to disassociate, or I can judge that, but then step back and be like, sometimes when we disassociate too, how beautiful it is.
It's great.
Thank God we had the opportunity to disassociate in that moment.
Yes.
/ we do, I think, want to wake up and live this really vibrant, beautiful life.
The word here is choice. Choose it. Like, am I choosing to? Am I am I just at the whim of my experience, being like, no, like I choose this thing actively and I embrace it and I enjoy it and I love it versus like, this is too much. I have to do this right now or I can't.
I could just see myself looking back and shaming myself for times when I disassociated.
Sure.
And then as I see myself where I'm at now, I can now, which is so lovely to say, look back with eyes of more kindness and say, do you know, those times were really challenging and you currently in those times did not have certain capacities or resources and how, so it's just funny for us to just watch the dance, the sleepy awake dance.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I have so much love for the guy who used to smoke weed every day, especially early in the morning, because he was so overwhelmed with life, he didn't want to feel anything.
Meaning yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
a wake and baker for a while there.
Yeah. Oh, I when people are like, oh, you smoke weed anymore? I'm like, bro, I smoked enough. Like I already hit it, like
Hit my life quota.
yeah, like I'm good right now. And maybe it comes back. I don't really see it, but okay.
Oh, I know so many people right now who are stopping smoking weed, and it's an exciting thing to watch. Alcohol as well is a big one. It's just dropping off, like the levels. I mean, everyone. I feel like at some point in my awareness, everyone drank. That's just how it is. And now so many people, like the near beer situation is out of control.
Yeah.
Like you can go everywhere and get a non-alcoholic beer now.
Yeah. The other one that was
kind of cool.
I don't know if I would say it was tougher, because when I saw it, it just stopped. But pornography, like the numbing effect of pornography and the instant availability of it. And
I personally never explored that, and I don't really have an understanding other than people I do know and love and care, and I have seen and I've studied, and that is an area that sexuality is such an important area for health and wellness, like to the beyond. And it's so shamed, and especially I come from Southern Baptist, like it's just, and so that whole repression and then now throughout the studies I've done, and I'm just really starting to understand the absolute detrimental effect that pornography can have, especially like on our younger men. Yeah, it's a big one.
I say, like, I hold this pretty wholeheartedly. The first thing to quit is porn, because it's such cheap dopamine and it's always available and you don't have to try. And there's something I heard recently that when you watch porn, when someone watches porn, the brain, like, physiologically cannot worry. And if you look at how heavy life is lately, to just turn off that body effect, it's like, oh, I have nothing to worry about. It's like, whoa, bro. So I always say the first thing to quit is porn.
I guess I've never thought of it like that, but I would consider myself a little addict. And I went through like serious drug addictions, through up and down, I would say almost all the addict things. That is the one I never got into. I never touched that one. So that's an interesting, I never thought of it in that way. That's not one that I have, but again, with my study and understanding the importance of sexuality in terms of vitality and healing.
Oh yeah.
And also, I just want to say that it's such an important thing I've discovered, that so when I say sexuality, I think the old me hears like me with another person. And that is not it.
Right.
It is sexuality can be is first and foremost with self.
Yes.
And so if we don't have that relationship to that part of ourself alone, comfortable alone, safe and tending and loving self alone, then the other is limited and it's not as expressive or expansive as it can be.
Yes.
And so it's just lovely for me to hear myself say that like, oh, the exploration of sexuality is it's such a solo endeavoring, ideally, to start.
Yes.
Which then means, porn comes in with this little sneaky little accessory that then blocks the capacity to then know self and to connect with another in a real time.
Right. No life force, all that stuff.
Oh, big topic here. Big one.
It's a huge one. And it's one I like shedding a lot more light on, because I can totally resonate with both sides of the spectrum, of daily user to not at all, and understanding why I was in that boat, and really having a lot of compassion for that guy, and then helping other men through that journey of like, okay, what does it look like for me to stop doing this? And for some men, it's really hard. And for some men, it's very straightforward. And back to no judgment, no shame. Like, I get it.
And to look back and have compassion for yourself. Yeah. In that, that's the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the work. Like, that's big and challenging. And I think all of us as humans, I don't care how awesome your life is, I think you're still going to come up on that.
Yes. In some way, shape, or form, we all have our versions of that, and I think that's the beautiful aspect of just connecting, right? And understanding my journey doesn't look like your journey, whether it's anatomically or just emotionally, experientially, but the themes are the same, the not enoughs, the whatevers.
That goes back to the gene keys. The archetypes are the same.
Yeah.
Like the shadow areas that they have a similar feel to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bands, the energy, this thing I keep forgetting. Hello. They're all similar archetypes and themes, but then we individually have our own absolute unique fingerprint through all of them.
I love that.
So cool.
Makes me want to dive into it more. I have to go back. I feel like I've had the Gene Keys like book in my Amazon like save for later for like, or wish list for like 5 years.
So my recommendation on that one, if it fits into your lifestyle, which I feel like most of us busy doing things, is the audiobook.
Okay.
Just because you can pop on a chapter, when you're going where, and then you can drop into it while you're contemplating, while you're going for a walk. While it's like a hard book is so lovely, but I just feel like they are starting to get somewhat, that's more of like a luxury.
Yeah.
The hard book is the luxury to be able to sit down and read a hard book.
You got time to read a book, bro?
Yeah, you reading? Like for real?
Right. You ever tried audiobooking while driving down the country?
Yeah, that's the thing. I just have a friend that just got into audiobooks for the first time, and he's like, this is so real. Like, whoa, I'm getting all this information so quickly, and he has to drive a lot for his work. And so he only just now found this. And I was like, oh, what a gem you've been missing out on, but found, thankfully.
Wow. Yeah. I love that. That's great. Elee, where can people find more about you and what you're up to?
I love that you asked that because I should have a great answer for you. And currently I have a little Instagram. And then I had a website that's currently not functioning. My email stopped functioning for like a month. No one could talk to me, and I had no idea. And then I had an online community that I just kind of stepped back from to kind of reorient that. So that's not there. So my answer to you is like, I'm having to rebuild all those things.
Yeah.
And so I actually don't have a lot of ways other than just like an email that I do think is now functioning.
Yeah.
But Instagram is the main place where I connect and just love to. My Instagram feed, I just feel like is so wonderful. I just get on there and see inspiring things, people I love, and things that make me laugh my ass off. So I get on there for just a little bit to have that /connect, and then my offerings are there. I'm working on a YouTube channel, which I'm super excited about / terrified about.
Of course.
Once I really put forward the effort to get that where I want it, that'll be a place where it'll just be easily accessible to practice.
Yeah.
So my 3 pillars are presence, stillness, and movement.
Love it.
And so we'll have just different series and playlists that people could just hop on and just be able to follow along and do any type of energetic arts or healing arts, or we've been playfully calling it Human 101.
Love it. I love it.
So YouTube's coming, and then my Insta. So it's lovely.wellness. And then lovely is love, Lee.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Lovely.wellness.
Yeah. And this will probably drop in, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. So you got some
how fun. It's just so cool being here. This is fun for me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
To get to build a relationship with a microphone.
Yep.
Robot.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And it's, I tell people just start, whatever it looks like. Whether you buy a $10 mic pack on Amazon or $700 mic pack.
I'm learning how to simplify and I'm about to move forward and just let it rip. That authenticity of putting forward, not having to have it perfect and nitpick it, because that's my tendency. And so then it never gets up.
Yeah.
Can I also say, actually,
Please.
I think the biggest thing that I should probably bring forward is that I have a retreat space in East Texas. Mm-hmm. It is 50 acres surrounded by national forest. And we have 2 ponds, a cabin, and outside soaking tubs, a sauna, that whole thing. And so my next retreat is a week-long retreat happening in October. Okay. And so Wim Hof Method is the main arc, but we do a lot of other, related practices, as well as I have a brand that I'm starting called Purely. So I have Lovely, Camply, and Purely. And then Purely is the nutritional aspect of things. So if you come to a retreat, we'll be talking to you before, what's your goals? What is it, what your sensitivities are? What are you working with diet? And it's a feeling-based approach to food, awareness, meditative sort of feeling-based approach. And so you're crafted, all the stuff that you're being fed is for you. And so, I guess that's more my thing. Lovely, Purely, and Camply. And that's next one's in October.
Okay. We will direct all the folks that way then. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. So
yeah,
grateful.
Thank you for the session. That was exquisite.
It was fun.
Yeah, great. And to the listeners, thank you for tuning in again and giving us your time and your attention and your presence. And until next time, aloha.